Okay, I know we're not meant to judge a book by its cover, but let's get real, people. In the real world where we live, the prettier cover is always going to sell. That's why plastic surgeons are so flinking busy, because everybody wants to reshape, enhance, uplift, chisel, cut, redefine their cover of their book to make it look more appealing. Well, the old Renault Megane was striking, yes, kind of like a supermodel with a big nose or a full butt, I guess. The new look Megane Coupe, I think it's a major thumbs up for the French plastic surgeons, because they've designed an absolute belter. No more big unsightly butt, but instead a really desirable J-Lo curve that follows all the way through to the front. And priced from 220,000 Rand upwards, this is not just an average model. Right, so we know she's a looker, but I guess the question is, how does she handle all that Ignition GT? We were lucky enough to get our hands on the 1.4 turbo, which is only due for release next year, as well as the one we're driving at the moment, which is the entry-level 1600. And both of them, for me, have really punchy, fun performing engines. The turbo in particular, which we drove up in Joburg, was ideal. 96 odd kilowatts, 190 Newton meters of torque. It's giving you like 1800 grunt with the low down punch of a 2 liter. So you've got more than enough to have fun with there. The 1600 down at the coast, let me tell you, is ample. You really do not need much more than this. In terms of the actual handling and the feel of the Megane Coupe, there's a noticeable difference between the 1600 and the 1.4 turbo. Obviously 1.4 turbo is more tightly strung, more rigid of a ride, and does give you a better tracking feel when you are pitching it into corners, whereas the 1.6 is definitely more cruising and a softer setup. But both of them are still dynamic, fun drives. I mean, we raved about the handling of the Clio RS, so Renault's not really going to get it too wrong when it comes to the setup and the handling of the car. The Megane Coupe RS, due for release next year as well, I guess is the one that everybody is looking out for. But certainly a fun car to drive. For me, I always just find you've really got to concentrate changing gears with the Renaults. It's an easy change, the clutch is nice and light, but for me you really have to make sure you're selecting the right gear, and when you are driving it quite hard, it's quite easy to miss a gear and slip it into the wrong one, because the box for me just doesn't have that super tight feel that you get with the Honda Civic Type R, for example. But sure, a lot of fun to drive and very comfortable as well. I think that's something that Renault has concentrated on, is adding that level of spec to the interior, and they've done a fantastic job in terms of that level of refinement. Leather seats are an option, a little extra, but the cloth they've gone with that charcoal look gives you a very chic, impressive feel. I think that really is what Renault is trying to do. They're appealing to people that are concerned about the image and how it all looks. Spec'd to the hilt, which again is going to be a strong selling factor for Renault. The 1600, the Wien at the moment, doesn't have the navigation system included as standard, but in the 1.4 that is included, and I think that is so nice to have an integrated navigation system. Funky little dials over here, so you can do all your selecting while you're driving. It's not touch screen, so that doesn't get in the way. It does take some getting used to, but we've driven a few Renaults now. Everything is on the steering column, so your radio adjustments, all your selections happen without you ever taking your hands off the wheel, which is again a good safety feature with the vehicle. And talking about safety, I mean, when the Megane Coupe came out, the version 2 previous, was the first car in its class to get a 5-star Euro NCAP rating, and they've achieved nearly a perfect score this time with this new version. So safety is never going to be an issue. An optional extra they do have as well, which is pretty cool, is an understeer control button that comes linked to their stability control system. So when you are, especially in the more powerful turbo version, you do get a lot of torque steer when you're pulling away. At least it does kind of help you get in grip, especially in rainy conditions and that type of thing. But heaps of fun to drive. In terms of space, they're saying that this car is comfortable for passengers. I hopped in the back. Legroom isn't bad, but my word, I hope you not much more over 5'8". I'm 6 foot, and my head sits very firmly on the roof, and that's because of their long, rakish roofline to give you that coupe look. The other problem as well from a driving point of view is you're not going to be seeing your own arse, but people are obviously going to be checking yours out. But visibility is a serious problem if you are trying to find blind spots. Tiny little windows at the back, the big bum does make it a bit of an issue in terms of parking and obviously checking your blind spots when you are driving, so be aware of that. That for me is the only downside. But then again, you know, when you've got looks, you've got to sacrifice something. Eh?